Hello, folks. Thanks so much for joining us here on this Q&A with the Turtle Conservancy. I am thrilled to be joined by Kelly Herbenson from the Turtle Conservancy. Kelly, thanks so much for joining me today.
Hi, thank you so much for having us. I'm super excited to talk. Yeah.
Yes, because we're going to talk about turtles. We're going to talk about
Yes.
tortoises. Now, the first question that many people are going to ask is, what is the difference between a turtle and a tortoise?
Oh boy, you're starting with the tough ones.
That's the
Okay. Well,
controversy, yes.
yeah. So for the most part, tortoises walk on land and turtles are usually more aquatic, although that's not always the case. But the technical answer is that a tortoise is actually a type of turtle, if that makes sense.
Yes, okay.
So
A
all
subset of turtle.
Yes, yes.
All tortoises are turtles, but not all turtles are tortoises.
Exactly, yes.
Ah.
Yeah, yeah.
We learn new things every day.
Yeah.
But I do know that in the turtle tortoise world, there's a bit of controversy as to which is which and what
Yes.
qualifies as, and I have done a little research there.
Right.
How did the Turtle Conservancy get started?
Yeah, so in 2009, our founder is a man named Eric Good, who's actually mostly a New York hotel and nightclub owner. He is also a turtle and tortoise enthusiast and a conservationist, and he started the organization back then. Yeah, and we're sort of split between New York and Ojai, California.
Gotcha.
And yeah.
So just a guy who loved turtles and tortoises.
Yes.
And was successful and said, I want to, save them.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so what are the different ways you guys go about conserving turtles? What are the different kind of things that you guys try to do?
Yeah, so we have several sort of arms to our organization. One is in Ojai, we have a conservation breeding center where we actually maintain some genetic assurance colonies of some of the world's most endangered and rare turtles and tortoises on the planet. But mostly what we do is international conservation programs with some of the world's most endangered and rare tortoises. So that's what we really focus on is getting to sort of help conserve some of the species that are really close to extinction. So we have programs in Mexico and South Africa and Madagascar working with some species there, which we'll talk more about, I'm guessing. And then we also do education and outreach. We have a magazine about turtle and tortoise conservation issues. And we also do research and science and do scientific publications and things like that.
Wonderful. So let's talk about one of these, and that's the geometric tortoise.
Yes.
An endangered species of tortoise in South Africa.
Correct.
And so you guys already have a preserve there right now, a rather large one there right now.
Yeah, so we own about 850 acres of fynbos habitat, which is a South African native habitat down there that is dedicated. We created it in order to conserve the geometric tortoise, which is this really incredible and small tortoise. There's only about 1,000 left on the planet, and about 800 of them live in our preserve. So our preserve really is kind of the last stronghold for that whole species. And so we've had that for a couple years now. Yeah.
And so the fynbos habitat is a special type of habitat. That is where geometric tortoises can live, thrive, and survive, is in that type of habitat. They don't venture out from that.
Correct.
They don't live in deserts. They don't live in jungles. They live in the fynbos habitat.
Yes, and the fynbos habitat is a really cool and special place. I don't know if anyone listening has been to South Africa and has seen it. It's also called the Renosterveld. It's where rhinos used to roam and all these other cool animals. But our preserve, it's about 850 acres. It contains 400 species of plants, many of which are also super rare and endangered. So we like to not only preserve the turtles and tortoises of the world, but also conserve their habitat, which is home to all of these really important other plants and animals. There's other turtle species that live there. It's a really special place.
And now, so this preserve has a neighbor.
Yes.
It has a neighbor,
it has
a guy
a neighbor
who owns fynbos habitat land.
Yes. And so we're in the process of trying to acquire as much land as possible that's adjacent to our current preserve to just make it as big as possible to keep preserving that little group of animals. So we're hoping there's a piece of land that's up for sale right now that has some fynbos habitat on it and some tortoises in the habitat. And so we want to buy this piece of land and incorporate it into our preserve.
Gotcha.
And the whole area is currently surrounded. There's a lot of agriculture. That's the big issue down there. There's a lot of wineries and that kind of thing that are making a living by getting rid of the fynbos and putting in wine grapes and that kind of thing. And so if we aren't able to get the land, we'll probably lose it to, there's a potential to lose it to something else, unfortunately.
Gotcha. So we have a bit of a deadline, which is June 2020.
Right.
Correct?
Yes.
And so you've gotten some matching funds from another entity.
Correct.
But you guys have to come up with, I think it was 175,000.
Yes. So we're in the process of trying to raise the rest of the funding to hopefully buy this land and match some of we have a matching sponsor in South Africa that wants to help us purchase this. And also, for what it's worth, we have an organization in South Africa that manages all of the land and that kind of thing. And so that's who we're working with down there.
Gotcha. So that's what we're trying to do.
Yes.
With the funds from the Sontar 6K. We're not going to be able to do 175,000.
Right.
But if we can get you guys 5%, 7%, 10% of the way.
Yes, it would be a huge help.
That's a huge help.
Yes.
So folks, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to help them purchase this land because if it's not purchased, it's going to get plowed under. It's going to be turned into a winery or growing grass or wheat or whatever.
Yeah.
But if it can be purchased, it will stay pristine fynbos habitat forever.
Yes, that's right.
And
hopefully, yes.
Hopefully. So this is why it's important for you guys to go sign up for the Sontar 6K, because not to put too fine a point on it, but we're trying to keep turtles from being obliterated.
Yeah.
And that means, if you follow the Sontars, you know that obliteration is kind of their thing, but we're trying to do the opposite with this. Now, the geometric tortoise, is it really much just habitat threatening, or are they threatened by humans directly?
Yeah, I mean, habitat loss is a big issue. Another big issue is fire, and that's partly, they have really bad drought. It's actually similar to, I'm based in California, it's similar to what we're up against here, drought and fire. And so all of that is, climate change related, and that it can be caused by sometimes it's caused by humans, sometimes it's natural. But, it's similar to most very endangered species on the planet. It's mostly that they've just been squeezed out of all the resources they need to survive. And this particular tortoise is really pretty fragile. It can't survive anywhere else on the planet but right in South Africa. So we're trying to give it a chance and hopefully restore some of the area that it lives and keep it going.
Gotcha. Now, if you guys haven't seen a geometric tortoise, the reason it's called a geometric tortoise is because the shell of the tortoise is really, really beautiful, but they're tiny. They're only yay big around. They're not.
Yeah.
These aren't big land, massive, 200-pound tortoises. These are tiny little guys.
Yes, they're only about 6 inches long. Yeah.
And so they are really. I was just curious as if they were hunted or poached. There's not a lot. They're pretty, but there's not a lot of meat to them. So there's not, they're tiny. So
right,
so that's not a big issue with this type of tortoise.
Yeah, well, there is an issue with poaching with a lot of beautiful tortoises. People like to keep them, but this one, I'll do the PSA. They will not survive outside of their natural habitat. So Although people have tried to poach them just for pets, that's oddly a big, not oddly, but is a big, one of the big reasons a lot of tortoise species are endangered. But yeah, people should know that's not possible with these ones, but it can be a problem. Yeah.
Gotcha. So, but really, so the main thrust of it is we preserve the habitat. We will do as much as we can do to preserve the species.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And so that's why it's so critically important because, wine is great and farming is great, but, can we keep a small patch of land for this species? And you said 400 different plant species.
Yeah.
And other animals that live in this habitat that depend on this habitat to survive. So it's not just the tortoises, it's other living creatures and plants as well.
Yeah, and we're all about trying to create this balance between, humans need to live and we need to survive and we need jobs and we need agriculture, we need food, but we have to find a way to balance, making sure that we're not wiping out species in the process. So that's the role that we're hoping to play, or that we do play, keeping these guys going. Yeah.
Well, that's absolutely wonderful. Guys, this is it. This is the last week to sign up for the Sontar 6K. So please do so before Sunday night at midnight, whatever time zone you're in. It goes all the way to Sunday midnight Hawaii time. So, or very, very early Eastern time or European time. But make sure you sign up for the Sontar 6K. Make sure you get your Sontar shirt. If you haven't seen the shirt yet, it's rather hilarious. It's all the different expressions of a Sontaran, and they're all exactly the same because Sontarans are kind of emotionless. But no, guys, go get your shirt. Go sign up for the event because we're gonna help buy some land and we're gonna save a species. That's what we're trying to do.
Yes, and thank you so much for helping us. We really appreciate it. Every little bit really does make a pretty huge difference for us. So thank you. I appreciate it.
And you are most welcome, Kelly. And thank you for joining me today. This is it's been educational, and we're looking forward to hearing all about the success of the geometric tortoise for years to come.
All right. Well, we'll keep you posted.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye.